Hey there, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Wanted to talk about some signs and some things to look for, some ways to identify that maybe narcissistic abuse is on the way in your relationship. When I talk about these things, I do not mean to say that every single one of these in isolation would equal narcissistic abuse. We all come to our relationships in different ways. We may say things we don't mean. We may even have very good intentions sometimes with what we say, but it comes out wrong. This goes beyond those human communication foibles or issues that are actually quite small. So, in isolation, these things together, or separately, I should say, not together yet, but separately, don't equal a narcissist. And over time, these particular items in isolation don't necessarily mean narcissistic abuse. However, when they do come together, when you are noticing these things over and over and over, you may indeed be experiencing the very beginning, the very start of narcissistic abuse. The first thing that comes to mind when I talk about what may be a foreshadow of abuse to come is just a slight little criticism that tweaks your heart a little bit. It's not a criticism coming from somebody who seems to have your best interest at heart, who might truly want to be encouraging your growth in some way. But this type of criticism sounds mean, it feels mean, and it again just tweaks at our heart a little bit. And you may stop and ask yourself, oh, why is that person saying that to me? It's hurtful. So that is one thing to be on the lookout for, a criticism that is hurtful. Again, in isolation, this might be just a matter of learning how to communicate better with your partner, but taken together with a few of these other things would be huge red flags to look out for. The next thing, along with the criticism, would be maybe an argument that comes out of nowhere over something that seems very nonsensical, an argument that really doesn't seem to have a resolution, that you don't feel is settled, you don't feel is resolved, but all of a sudden we're just moving on. We're just moving on with our day, we're moving on with our night, and somehow there is a lingering feeling of, oh, was that just an argument? Is there something we still need to work out? Those feelings of being unsettled is a way that the narcissist actually wants you to feel, because being unsettled, being imbalanced, means that they do have a little bit of power. They have a little bit more control, and that's what they're looking for. So keeping the victim off balance is something that the narcissist wants to do. So look out for little arguments that come along the way that don't make sense. They don't have a resolution, but you're left with feeling unsettled feelings. Yet the other person has just moved right along. That is something to look out for. Another thing that, taken together with some of these other items to be on the lookout for, would be planting little seeds here and there that make you doubt yourself. Saying something like, oh, I thought you would have known better, or I thought you would have known not to do that, or I thought you would have understood what I wanted or what I needed. These little statements of I thought you would have known, plant the seeds of doubt in the victim, because the victim may think, oh, should I have known? Should I have anticipated this? But what's really happening, again, is the narcissist is creating some imbalance here within the victim. The victim's asking themselves, oh, am I wrong? Should I have known? So the victim is left kind of in no man's land, standing there wondering, did I do something wrong? And that unsettled feeling yet comes again, just like the narcissist wants. So watch out for those little statements that lead you feeling doubtful about your own self in the relationship and all that you are in the relationship. You may hear a joke that is not funny. The narcissist probably isn't laughing either, but if you question the narcissist on what was just said, this joke, you will likely be told that you're too sensitive, you're overreacting. Oh, of course I didn't mean it that way, but no one's laughing. And inside, again, you're left with an unsettled feeling, a feeling of, oh, that joke really wasn't funny. Did they mean it how it sounded? These jokes sometimes are just left hanging. They don't really have a resolution unless it turns into some type of argument or some type of discussion that leaves everybody feeling even worse. But watch for someone or somebody who makes little jokes at your expense. Taken together with these other things could equal narcissistic abuse on the way. Also watch out for somebody who has a differing opinion, who makes you feel bad for your own. A narcissist will do this early on as a test, throwing out some bait to see who will latch on, who will go ahead and maybe take the difference of opinion and accept or at least tolerate that the other person has a differing opinion, and in the meantime makes you feel bad for having your own opinion. This type of power maneuver, this type of control tactic is probably not going to sound big. It's not going to sound like some big, large disagreement. It's going to be a little statement of a difference of opinion that leaves you feeling badly for having your own opinion, for having a different opinion than the perhaps narcissist, at least the person who's making you feel bad for having your own. Again, taken into consideration with all of these other factors, may be an indication that there are some power and control issues, some blaming and some shaming going on, something to pay attention to. Another point, and this will be the last point that I make today, is watch for small little expectations crawling in. So one thing that happened in my relationship is that I was the coffee and cookie person. I was the milk and cookie person. I do take pleasure in providing for the special people in my life. So if somebody wants a cup of coffee, I'll be happy to make a cup of coffee or a glass of milk or cookies or whatever. But with somebody who may have narcissistic tendencies, that little pleasure will be turned into an expectation. Whether it's milk and cookies, coffee and cookies, whatever the case may be on the lookout for little things that you would enjoy doing under normal circumstances, but that for some reason, it's starting to feel like you have to. It's starting to feel like the other person no longer appreciates it for what it is, but is actually starting to expect these things. And if you were not to provide the milk and cookies or the coffee and cookies, there'd probably be some kind of demeaning, belittling statement attached to it. So these items taken in isolation, again, are probably nothing. Maybe just a matter of working out some communication techniques or making sure that we're active listening, making sure that we are truly understanding what our partner is saying, what they need and what they want, and how they need to communicate, and vice versa, how we need to communicate with them. Taken together, however, these can be a sign of narcissistic abuse coming, narcissistic abuse on the way. Take your time in all of these situations and assess how you feel in the interactions that you're having with somebody. Those unsettled, imbalanced feelings, those feelings of doubt that settle into your own frame of mind, wondering if you're doing something wrong, that is a huge red flag. So my friends, stay the course, have faith in this journey. We are learning, we are growing, we are moving through this new year. Let's do the best we can each and every day to create the great. Until next time, bye for now.